Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Fires upfield into the end zone, and it's caught. Jelani Woods, touchdown! ISB!
43-point night for Tyrese Halliburton.
How do you like that, partner?
Renew now, drives in low, throws up a shot. It doesn't go. Tipped up and in by Anthony Leal. Indiana takes the lead.
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
Now, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hey, everybody, welcome aboard. It is Thursday. Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming at you once again, powered by Andy Moore Honda. Just go to andymoorehonda.com and get more to your door with the best in new and used vehicles. And the Autograph app, where real fans get unreal rewards, place you can find all of your content, favorite content of your teams in one place. Just go to the Apple app or Google Play Store today and download the Autograph app and use code ISB Media, please. That helps us tremendously. Thank you very much, and we appreciate each and every one of you every day. Looking forward to today, as always. Shannon Griffith joins us. We will be talking some football, Big Ten football, Indiana football, Purdue. Bob Kravitz, the man. We will recount our travails on the golf course last week. We played in the Mybor golf outing, and that day wiped me out. I mean, it was one of those days where it was so hot. But we'll talk about that. Chris Denari joins us. Nothing new going on in the NBA. Oh, yeah, the NBA draft. Day one in the books, and we've got plenty to talk about there, as Zach Edey taking a little higher than a lot of people expected with the number 9 pick. Khalil Ware also taking a little higher, just misses being a lottery pick at number 15, but I'm sure he's quite happy about that. He was very emotional last night, so congratulations to him. Let's see, Terrence Shannon Jr. went in the first round with the number 27 pick. So you got that. OG Anunoby expected to sign a $212 million contract to stay with the Knicks. So all kinds of things going on. NCAA football, ESPN top 40 recruiting classes, Rutgers at number 12. I did not see Indiana in the top 40 there. So we've got a lot to get to. How are you? Appreciate you being with us. Keep your comments coming. And John Boy, we have not talked about the ability and potential now to use the
voicemail line. That's right. We have not
initialized
that quite yet, have we?
Does not have an official name yet. Because we're gonna get a sponsor for that, but we do have a line that you will be able to call in on if you want to leave a message, and John will decide on said selected message, question, comment, whatever. We're not going to do a ton of those because of time, but it gives us some things to talk about, things that you want to talk about. And that number, I should have had John be more prepared. It's my fault. But the number is 317-699-2002. John will get that up on the screen a minute.
Yeah, we'll eventually implement it into the background so you can constantly see it, but I'll throw it up here as a banner here in a moment. Give me that number one more time.
It is 317-699-2002. Kind of an easy one.
All right.
Las Vegas Larry on board today. Brian says he was a little surprised to see Edey go number 9. I was a little bit, but we're not in the workouts. And apparently, from everything that I've heard and I've seen, that Zach Edey was very, very impressive in his workouts, that he dominated, much like he dominated in college. I do know one thing. I think that Zach Edey has a chip on his shoulder that he wants to prove everybody wrong. Even people like me who I don't think that his skill set doesn't seem to be there. But let me tell you, you don't become the two-time player of the year in college for the first time in 40 years without being dominant. And he was just that. He's 7'4", 300 pounds. He has a motor that he's probably not. There will probably be some limitations, but he's obviously and probably going to bring a formidable challenge to opponents. Kel'el Ware goes number 15 to the Heat, Miami Heat. Great organization. Pat Riley, just a good spot for Kel'el Ware to land. And you could tell that he was emotionally appreciative. Indiana coach Mike Woodson was there. And if you saw the picture, you can just get a better understanding of the size of Kel'el. Mike Woodson is what? I mean, he's probably shrunk a little bit now. He's older, but at his best, what was he? 6'6", and Ware towers over him. So appreciate everybody being along on the hotline. Even old buddy Pete's on today. How are you, brother? It's been a minute since we saw you. Robert asking, when did Jim get a strat? Jim's had it for a long time. He's for those of you who are listening on radio here in the studio, we have several studio set decorations, and I noticed that our on-air sign is off because we lost power yesterday. I didn't realize that. But that is an AC/DC autographed Stratocaster, baby, or Fender. I picked that up probably about 14 years ago. I was at an event. Well, first of all, AC/DC was in concert in Louisville. They were supposed to be in concert in like October. They had to cancel that. I think that was about 2010 because of somebody got sick. But then they came back in the spring instead and did the concert because it was odd. The T-shirts they were selling, I remember, I still have it, does not have Louisville on the back because it was a different tour. It was the one before that. But that is signed by Brian Johnson and both the brothers, Young and Angus, Malcolm and Angus, and Phil Rudd, the drummer. So yeah, I am happy to have that thing. But yeah, I thought I'd add it to the studio. I'm like going, hey, why not? It's spruce things up a bit. But so there's a story behind that. Brian says the Pacers need to find a way to keep pace. Aha. Yes, I do see what you did there. Just like I did the same thing with Kel'el Ware. I said, Kel'el Ware ready to bring the Heat to the NBA after being selected by Miami at number 15. But yeah, so I didn't watch a lot of the draft after that. It was Betty by time. I think I fell asleep. So, but Angus, 69 years old. Yeah, he's a youngster compared to the Rolling Stones, man. Yeah, he was still not wetting his drawers, but when they had already hit it. Need a guitar. Brian wants a guitar segment. Well, maybe we'll have John pull something out. Robert is a lefty with a purple Strat. There you go. But appreciate everybody being on with us today. Whether you're listening on our affiliate stations around the state, 97.7 ESPN, the Ref, always the right call down in Evansville, Southwest Indiana area. And whether you're up in the region, some of our region rats listening on WJOB, 1230 AM, 104.7, and the only sports station in all of Fort Wayne, The Fan, 1380. You guys are so lucky to have a great station like 1380 connected with WOWO, one of the original 50,000 watt stations in the United States. Only 5 of those, by the way. So very fortunate there. Make sure you stay tuned and keep it tuned to all of these stations, especially on 1380 coming up after Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle. You've got the Sports Rush. So plenty coming today. No, I am not wearing a Hawks shirt. That is Hank, by the way. Tanis. Hoosier Hank, as in Hoosier Hanks. One of our great sponsors that we appreciate immensely. So there's that. But looking forward to getting Bob Kravitz's take on the draft. Did you know that Juju Lewis is reclassifying from 26 to 25? The top quarterback recruit in the 26 class. He is not the top in the 25 class, but he was recently out at the Elite 11 camp competing against the guys he was competing against were 17 and 18 years old, and Juju was just 16. So we'll see how that goes. Looking forward, up next, we've got our good friend Shannon Griffith to join us to talk about football and plenty more. And we shall be doing that when we return. Brought to you by the Autograph app. Just go to your Google Play Store or Apple App Store today. Download the Autograph app. Use code ISB Media, please, and get all your Hoosier content in one place. The Play Autograph, where Unreal fans get unreal rewards. Back with more right after this.
We'll be right back for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
In the market. You shut your mouth when you're talking to me.
Sorry if you had to dance there for a little bit, Jim. I had something hit me like a brick wall. That's all I'll say about them. Welcome, Coach Griff.
What's going on?
Welcome to the friendly confines.
Doing a little two-step this morning.
Oh, yeah. Did you get a new camera or did you change your lighting a little bit?
I changed some settings. I use OBS sometimes as a virtual camera.
Okay.
That allows you to dial your camera in a little bit better.
What does OBS stand for? Old bullshit?
See, I've got OBS too, but I've never utilized it for camera stuff. It's only for my audio.
Well,
What the
It
hell?
works in conjunction with my audio, I guess.
Yeah.
Junction. What's your function?
Their virtual camera is pretty good. I use it because on StreamYard, you don't really have a chance to dial your, stuff in as much.
Well, that's good to know because I've always thought the same thing. I always felt like I looked a little like my frame rate was kind of weak.
But John,
Yeah.
but you can't do anything about what God gave you. That's just unfortunate.
Oh, yeah, you can.
Oh, I'm kidding.
As seen on the camera in front of you.
Look at Brian jumping on open broadcast software.
Look, he's got it.
There you go.
I don't know what that do. I don't think I need that, do I? I've got a 4K camera, so yours looks a little brighter. You look a little brighter. Your colors are popping a little bit more. So maybe I do.
Like I said, it just works well with StreamYard when to set your things up a little bit better. Dial it in, you can put filters on it and have a little more saturation here, a little bit more of a tint there. It doesn't make me, I haven't been able to figure out if it can make me look younger, but had your buddy on, Mitchell Page there, John.
I know. I saw y'all did it on Monday.
Wait a minute. How did it become John's buddy? It's Jim.
He's kind of, I guess because he does the podcast every week with us, the Out of Touch podcast.
Yeah,
He's both our buddies. He's your golfing buddy. You all play golf. I don't play golf.
Yeah. What was funny about that was he did that at 3:00 on Friday. We did that 3:00 on Friday, in which his wife was getting ready to go.
Oh yeah.
Here
we go, guys. We're coming back from break.
No matter where you live.
This segment is brought to you by the Chop Shop, home of the Indiana football and men's basketball coaches shows. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, welcome back. It is Thursday all around, wherever you are, unless you're on the border between Alaska and Russia, where, did you know that right there where the timeline runs through between the Bering Strait?
Yeah.
Where Alaska and Russia is, that when you cross over, it's a 21-hour time difference.
I did not
just
know.
by crossing that line. And I think that those two islands that are like 3 miles apart. So, and I'm talking to Coach Griff right now, Shannon Griffith joining us, of course, from Hoosier Tailgate. But you could leave one island at, say, I don't know, noon, take the 3-mile trip, go over to Tomorrow Island, call a friend back in, say, Indiana, and say, okay, well, yeah, it's Monday here, so I'll talk to you again. And then make the 3-mile trip back to them, call them again, and now it's Sunday. You can literally go back in time.
Well, time travel's real then.
Speaking of it, Coach Shannon Griffith is with us here on this Thursday, brought to you by the Chop Shop. Man, they got the greatest meats around, I'm telling you, and it is grilling time. You need to be in there. It's also the home of the Indiana football and basketball coaches shows. And I'm telling you, when football season rolls around and Coach Signetti gets in there, I'm wondering what that first weekend is going to be like, or first coaches show is going to be like. I think that it is going to be, yes, it was. Brian with the man on the spot with all the information, baby. Yeah, $7.2 million is what Alaska cost. Why would Russia sell it? I wouldn't have sold it. I would have held out. But what was I talking about? Oh, yeah, Coach Signetti at the coaches show. I think that is going to be an SRO situation there.
Oh, yeah.
I seriously believe that. And it's not, and that's without playing a single game. The buzz is real. I've talked about it, at nauseum. I've talked about it so much, I'm sick and tired of hearing about it, Griff. I'm serious. I'm like, the one thing I can't stand is being called a homer, because I ain't. Trust me, I take more than enough grief. It's so funny if you're say a Purdue fan. Oh my God, do they think I'm an IU homer? Well, let me tell you, if you're the IU administration, they do not think I'm an IU homer, because I'm not. And speaking of which, before I forget, I do want to, where was that? Daggone it. We had a comment yesterday from Rick Bozich was on with us because we were talking about the shenanigans that had happened prior there. But
Hoosier hysteria.
Oh boy, you got close to saying a banned words. But oh yeah, so it cracks me up, a lot of the responses we get from people about stuff. And I'm like, dude, are you serious? But when you see a logical, thought out, realistic take, it's like, whoa, Herbal, who's often on the board. I haven't seen him in a minute, but just said so. That podcast they were doing was made popular via being spoon-fed information from inside the program and suddenly lost access for being critical. Well, what did they expect to happen? Which has been my point. I just laugh. I'm like, oh, okay. But the only other thing is he said, and I like this and I really appreciate this, reporting like what we do is why he will continue to show his support to unsullied media sources like ISB with Jim Coyle. I would rather be a realistic fan over a, quote, true fan any day of the week. Go Hoosiers. First of all, thank you, Herbal. But that is exactly what I strive to be, is realistic. If it's great, I'm going to tell you it's great. If it sucks, I'm going to say it sucks. I am just not one of those guys that's going to stand there and pee down your back and tell you that it's raining. I have respect for people, and I'm like going, I expect for them to have common sense. So why would I go the other route? But so there's that. I just wanted to get that off. So thanks, Herbal, for that comment. Griff, football is looking, the commitments have been nonstop. I mean, now
this week especially. This week seems to be the week. Well, maybe you could probably say the last 14, 10.
Well, they just came off of that big recruiting weekend, of course, but the steady stream of commitments, which part of that is planned. Schools say, all right, hey, if you're committing to us, why don't you do it on this day? Because that way they stretch them out. And it gives the appearance that we're seeing. And I'm not saying that they're doing anything malicious or silly. That's what everybody does. It gives you that a better understanding. If you get a commitment 5 days in a row, that looks better than getting 5 on the same day.
Yeah.
Because it's continuity, it's consistency. It's like, damn, it keeps you in the news. It keeps the level of excitement going. And that has been the case for Indiana. They've been landing defensive guys here of late. And they're landing these guys, Griff, over. They're not landing guys over MAC schools. They're landing them over schools like Purdue, Louisville, Georgia, Wisconsin. That's exactly where Mr. Kyler Garcia, the 2025 defensive lineman who just committed to Indiana, exactly what he did out of Nashville, Tennessee. This dude is 6'5", 275. That sounds like a D lineman right there, boy.
Yeah. He's a good player, really good player. But you're correct. It does seem like that IU football has been in the quote unquote 24-hour news cycle for the past, 5 to 7 days, where they've, garnered some big commitments, a flip of a wide receiver from Illinois back to Indiana, which is a good get.
An in-state recruit, no less.
Yeah, right. Here's a kid that is it Chevron, I believe his name wasn't it? The wide receiver. I'm losing track of all.
I know that's another thing. I'm like, man, you got to go to thehoosier.com and keep up with all the things that's going on. And speaking of which, the entire Rivals network have completely redone the network. It's awesome. Wow, you guys got to go there and check it out. Yeah. As a matter of fact, you need to get yourself a subscription to thehoosier.com. It's only 27 cents a day, people. So if you want to continue getting that kind of content, please do that. But yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but going back to him, here's a kid that, in the years past, when they wanted a kid from in-state that they were up against another fellow Big Ten school, they lost. That kid would go to the out-of-state school, whoever that may be, Wisconsin, Illinois, Ohio State, didn't matter. And they're now making a big enough push to keep these kids at home. Now, again, They can commit today and decommit tomorrow. So their recruitment of said commitment hasn't ended. They'll be recruiting him all the way up through the December. And, because of this is why the coaches have been pushing for years to have a early signing period in the summer in August so that they would not have to worry about these kids all the way through the season. So, which makes, I think, logical sense. But again, logic doesn't always play in the heartbeat of the NCAA at times. But they're recruiting right now with the class that they're garnering. It may be one of the better classes A to Z that Indiana's seen in a long, long time if everyone ultimately signs on the dotted line. But hey, they've been beating the bushes hard ever since they got here on Indiana soil as a coaching staff, and they're adequate. They're pushing now for the 26 kids and 27 kids, as you see some of the offers that are popping up for those kids throughout the recruiting areas of the Midwest, and of course in the other areas that are south of Indiana. But overall, right now, it's very optimistic in their recruiting.
Oh, absolutely. And I've talked about Julian Juju Lewis, who is Indiana they're in the running, and they're not an also ran.
Oh no,
everything it's everything I've been told. Now we also know I don't think he's making a decision for a year. I don't know if he can go a year, but especially since he has reclassified. That means he'll be in college someplace next, not this coming season, but the season after that. So he's got a while. I don't know when that decision will come, and things can change. But as of right now, it truly appears that it's Indiana and Auburn down to the final two.
Well, USC's got the verbal on him. I don't know if that's changed.
They still have that on paper, but everything that I've been told is it's Indiana Auburn. See, by not decommitting, you don't draw more attention to yourself.
Yeah, and
I think it's very smart.
When we've been talking about this for quite some time now, there is no way USC is going to let a kid shop himself around after making a verbal commitment. There's just no way. There's you're not going to make a verbal and then go shop yourself around for the next, whatever team is out there that's going to throw you more money or whatever. I know Colorado laid out all the stops for that kid in terms of his visit there on campus. They rolled out the red carpet for the young man, but I'm not again, I think we've said it here multiple times. I will not be surprised if Juju Lewis commits to Indiana. It won't be a shock to those that have followed this kid's recruitment throughout this year. And we know of the strong ties that he has to Tino and the rest of the staff now. So it won't be a shock if he commits to Indiana. It will shock a lot of people outside of the, scope of Indiana fans, but I don't think anybody should be surprised if this kid says yes to Indiana.
Well, I wouldn't say I don't think anyone should be surprised. I still think they should always be shocked to land the number one, in the 26 class. But I agree with what you're saying. It's real. This is not some pipe dream.
Right.
It is a real. He's not looking at Indiana like national reporters do. He's not looking at Indiana for what they have not done prior to now. He's not looking at Indiana as being the all-time losingest program in NCAA football. He's looking at what they have now, where they are now, the coaching staff they have now, the schedule they have now, all of that. And that's what he cares about and being developed because he wants to go to the next level. Now, speaking of that, he's 6 foot tall, man. He's not a big dude. So
I'm not, look, the kid's very athletic, number one, and he does have a live arm. There's no question about that. There are probably question marks about his height a little bit. It's all dependent upon how you see him and use him. You know, the one thing going back to the USC situation, I would say the other thing with that is, you know, Riley out there is not on stable ground. You know, if this year doesn't fold, you know, come into the way they hope it comes to, things could be ugly out there at USC. You know, last year he fired his DC coordinator right in the middle of the year, so that tells you what's expected out of Riley out there. But yeah, there are question marks in terms of size and things of that matter. Athletically speaking and arm strength speaking, I don't think you can argue the kid's ability there. I do think he has all the ability to be a special kid, and depending on how they utilize him and what offense they utilize him in is going to make a huge difference. But this is why rankings at times get a little out of whack. Where, you know, kids rated a 5-star and, you know, how did he become a 5-star and things of that magnitude. Normally it's because of who's recruiting him, that ultimately figures those type of things. But hey, I'm with you. I don't know if he'll go to the end of the year. I know the kid said he's shutting down his recruiting now and he's focused on the season, which is all well and good. But at some point in time, he may not make it official, but there's some way, somehow, he's going to make a off the record commitment somewhere to give them a nod to which school he's going to go to.
And I'm looking forward to that because, again, just the instance of that happening, it doesn't open the door to other things. It kind of kicks the door in.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it will kick the door in. Receivers are going to see that. Oh, hell, I want to go there. I want to be a part of this. It will start from within the state of Indiana. You talked about Indiana flipping. We talked about him flipping him from Illinois, the wide receiver, back to Indiana. He's Lawrence North product. Keeping those guys in state and then starting to get the higher rated guys. Indiana's never landed a 5-star, so that would kill two birds with one stone. Absolutely. But more importantly, I think it would just open the door for many more possibilities.
Well, and yeah, I mean, it would help immensely with that. I think we can agree from what we've seen of Juju. I would say he's a very charismatic kid that could be a big benefit for recruiting in its own right, where he could be the deciding factor on why a kid may come to Indiana or not if he comes to IU. Those kids are some of your best recruiters after they make their commitment, because they ultimately know these guys that are also out there, and they're going to try to help get that kid to Indiana somehow, some way. I think he would be a huge feather in the cap from a recruiting standpoint in terms of helping get others there, not just now, but in the future. So, hey, you know, we're at 57, 58 days, if you can believe it, until we're back at it at full steam. That just doesn't seem real in some respects, but the season is fastly approaching. The coaches are getting ready to enjoy a couple weeks off before they come back and start gearing up for camp here towards the end of July.
Looking forward to that. And then it's a quiet time right now because it's been all about recruiting. Fall camp, not that far away. But first of all, Big Ten football media days are a month away. What is today? Thursday? Yeah, we're like 1 month away yesterday from Big Ten football media days up at Lucas Oil Stadium, where we'll be there, of course, for day 3. I'd like to be there for all 3. I'll try to do that, but an expanded 3-day. Do you think you might be able to stop by one day?
We'll have to see where the calendar falls in terms of my day job, but I do hope to, if possible, get down for it. At least, like you said, at least one of the days to experience Big Ten Media Day. I've always experienced Media Day from the other side of the table, so I'd like to be on the opposite side to see what it's like from your guys' view when a coach says, that's a dumb question. You know, those guys that get up there and try to control the room with their unique style at the podium. But hopefully,
now, here's the one thing that does aggravate me about that. A lot of times, here's the situation, this comes from back when I was a young, wet behind the ears pup, and in a press conference with, let's say, Bob Knight. Trust me, you were always on the edge of your seat if you were going to ask a question because you knew what could come. You're like, but here's the thing: a lot of times, the questions that some of us or someone asks are common sense questions. They're obvious questions. But guess what? The fans don't want to hear me say it. They want to hear Bob Knight say it. They want to hear Kurt Signetti say it. So you asked the softball lobbing question to just get that answer. But how it comes across to them sometimes is, what is stupid ass, basic question? Yes, I know that, but you're not looking at it from my side. So
right, that's what I mean.
You got to fight and ride that fence, baby. You got to ride that fence.
Well, and I'm always, and I guess I should have clarified my meaning on that. I'm always amazed at somehow how some coaches approach that when a reporter asks a question, just like you said. It's a lob, it's a softball, whatever. But the response from the guy at the podium isn't one of respect for the guy asking it. It's the comment before he makes the answer of, that's a dumb question, right? And we've all seen it. Those type of things that I see coaches do sometimes at the podium, I cringe. Just from the standpoint is, I mean, that's what you're there for, to answer questions, not to critique the question. So be a little bit more generous of your responses at the podium is what I guess I was referring to when reporters ask those questions, because you're right. The fan base doesn't want to hear your opinion as much as they want to get the words out of the head coach's mouth as it pertains to a validation of the question. So, but yes, my hope is to get down. We'll see what all happens. If not, I'll be following from away, as I always do on media days. I think they're one of the best times of the year, and it just gets the juices flowing a little bit as you get ready for the season. And you're going to see this team tee it up come, August there at home against FIU. And then it's now time to put the pen and paper down and go out and make things happen on the field. And that's ultimately going to be the judge of everything that everybody's hoping and feeling at this point in time.
Yeah. Looking forward to that. I believe we have to take a quick break. John Boy cracking the whip, baby.
Yeah.
Shannon Griffith with us. We're talking some Hoosier football. We'll talk about the Big Ten as well when we come back. Brought to you by our good friend Cheryl Sizemore at Remax Realty. For those of you in the market for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore and her 2 decades of experience. It could be the difference between getting the home you want or not. Coach Griff, you have a great day, brother.
All right, partner. You too. We'll see you.
Appreciate you.
You too, buddy.
Back with the Captain Bob Kravitz after this. Robert Kravitz from bobkravitz.com.
We'll be right back for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
If you're looking for a
Hello, Bob.
Good morning. How are you, gentlemen?
I'm good.
I'm fine, sir.
Well, I didn't ask you.
I thought you said gentlemen, and I took the opportunity to jump onto that train.
Yeah. So the funny thing is, I've played 3 times in the last couple of days. 87, 86, 87.
I'm sure it's me.
Playing great. Playing great.
Well, it probably wasn't 1,006 degrees
No, it
on
was not.
on a flat track that was just rough.
7 hours.
That was, I mean, it wiped me out.
Oh, I had a cardiac rehab the next day, and I blew it off. I was so exhausted.
Well, we need to talk about that.
So exhausted. But what are you gonna do? Hey, have you been following this thing with this Hoosier hysterics? They
You just
put
said
out
a bad word, Bob.
Is that a bad thing?
It's just a bad word.
Are they morons?
Where the F have you been?
I don't know. I don't know the whole story. I don't know the story, obviously.
Yes, but it's kind of it would be better to talk about it off air because it's kind of worn out, really.
Okay.
But I mean, we can briefly touch on it.
Well,
yes. I'm surprised you don't know a little bit more about them, but I'm
not.
They kind of came out of nowhere, and just started acting like entertainers and got attention, and then realized that, hey, maybe, in my opinion, that, hey, this is maybe an idea to or a way to get close to the program, as I like to call it.
Right.
And it's one person. It's not, the other one's just like a sidekick. But, and so started doing that. And a lot of people are confused and think that they started doing some NIL stuff, but they think that, like, Indiana's Hoosiers for Good NIL, they're not on par. They're not.
Okay.
On a 2023 Honda Ridge line. Go to andymorehonda.com and get more to your door.
This segment is brought to you by Freethink Apparel. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Rocking it out here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Thursday. Thanks a lot for being with us. Jim Coyle along for the ride. Bob Kravitz from bobkravitz.com joining, brought to you by Freethink Apparel, whether it's some uniforms you might need, company, recreational athletics. They can wrap your vehicle. The things that their abilities they have are crazy. They can ship to wherever you are. Reach out to them, freethinkapparel.com. Bob Kravitz from bobkravitz.com joining us now. How are you, sir?
I am splendid, playing some good golf.
You look a lot better than the last time I saw you.
Oh, my God. Well, it was 127 degrees, and we were on the golf course for 7 hours. So I was getting a little dizzy out there, but I've been playing good lately. So
I felt like I was playing in turn 4 of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
It was unbelievable. The heat was oppressive, but we got through it, had a couple of beers. We had a good time.
It was a fun day. Glad to help out with the MyBore golf outing, which let's see, Metro Indianapolis Board of Realtors. I remember.
Right. Very good.
How about that? Cheryl Sizemore, and I'm glad to have been a part of that. So, but it was fun. It was just extraordinarily hot that day. It really wiped us out. Well, first of all, we had the draft last night.
Yeah.
So that is fresh off a lot of people's minds. A couple of surprises. Actually, both Zach Edey and Khalil Ware both going a little higher than had been anticipated. Edey especially, he's a lottery pick, man, at number 9, which that was a surprise. Khalil Ware just misses being a lottery pick at number 15, which that's a big difference in money, isn't it?
It is. It's. I mean, it's not excessive, but it's enough to make you notice. But I'll be honest with you, I thought Edie would go probably closer to where Khalil went. I thought he would be around 13 to 17, somewhere in there. Now, Memphis is a good match for Zach Edey, but I'll be honest with you, I look, I love the kid. I think he's and the fact that he decided to have the party at his house or at Painter's house instead of going to New York, I thought that was pretty cool on his part. That said, I don't know how his game is gonna look, at the next level. I just, he's. I don't know about his foot speed. I don't know about his ability in the pick and roll. I think he'll be an effective 12 to 15-minute bench player, but boy, that's awfully high to take a guy who's not going to be a starter, at least in my view.
From what I heard, he really impressed in his workouts, that he was dominant. Now, I don't know who they were putting him up against, because obviously if these were college guys, he's going to be dominant because he's been the most dominant player in college for 2 years running. Right. So, but I get it at the same time. I mean, it's like, you're like, well, what are they going to do with him? I mean, how are they going to defend him? There are some things that I think are going to limit him. How
do you hide him? How do you hide him defensively?
Exactly. That's the first
thing.
You
get him into the pick and roll, and I mean, it's so crazy because 15, 20 years ago, he would have been the first pick in the draft. I mean, he would have been Yao Ming, the Canadian Yao Ming, and not any longer. Now they're going for 18-year-olds who are raw, uber athletic, and is the way the NBA plays its game has completely changed. And I don't know. I think I'll say this. I think Khalil Ware has as good a chance to do well in the NBA as Zach Edey.
Oh, absolutely, because he has some tools that Zach does not have.
Right, he can shoot from the perimeter,
and he's more athletic. He has better mobility, better quickness. Probably he's probably going to have more longevity as far as minutes in a game. Can get up and down the floor. I mean, lugging 300 pounds up and down that floor is not exactly easy.
No, but I mean, that said, he did it. He did it at Purdue and got them to the national championship game. So it's not like John Morant is going to go up and down the floor 7 times by the time Zach gets up the floor once. I mean, he is amazingly agile for a guy who's 7'4", 300 pounds, or I'm sorry, 299. I would gain that pound just to say 300 personally, but that's just me. No,
I would lose it just to say I'm under 300, baby.
Yeah, maybe so. But no, I think he'll have an effective career. I don't know that he'll have the kind of career that you would expect from a guy who's picked 9th in the draft. But that said, it was a historically weak draft. I mean, and I don't just say that because it's a bunch of foreign, international players who we've never heard of, like Zachary Rizache, Alex Sarr. If you talk to the NBA people, they'll tell you this is a historically weak draft.
Yeah, that was the sentiments of Chris Denari when we spoke to him last week. He'll be on with us today, but he talked about that. So the fact that some of these guys were able to get up there, they took advantage of that.
Absolutely. And how Zach did the right thing. Zach waited 1 year. He was a 2nd-round draft pick last year. How much money did he make for himself and his family? What a great move. And again, that's one of those deals where NIL was a good thing. Not only did it put money in his pocket, but he felt comfortable staying in West Lafayette for an additional year to improve his draft stock without fear of losing money. So he went from second round to lottery pick, and he's got a chance. I know they're talking about starting him in Memphis, but I see him as a bench guy. I just until he can shoot from
mainly, but also because of the minutes that he's going to be able to put in. I mean, your starters are, usually guys that are going to play the bulk of your minutes.
Right. But he did at Purdue. He played, excessive numbers of minutes, and he had no problem. It's not like the court is any damn longer. So, I think as far as that goes, he'll be fine. I just don't know that he's got the skill set yet to be a starter and be an effective starter.
Yeah, well, and that's, first of all, that's because of being an NBA freshman. That usually is there. That's usually a hurdle to get over, because there is an acclimation that you have to make, especially for a guy who has come off of being the most dominant player in the game for 2 years. Well, now you step up to a layer where you are no longer the most dominant. Right. Not only are you not the most dominant, you're not the most dominant on your team, probably.
Right. Well, you got, yeah. He needs to develop, and we actually talked about this before the Fairleigh Dickinson game. The importance of developing a 3-point shot. You look at Brook Lopez. Brook Lopez couldn't shoot a lick when he came out of school, and he developed a terrific 3-point shot. I see no reason why a guy as talented as Zach Edey can't become a decent perimeter shooter.
We'll certainly find out, but it was a good draft for area teams. Indiana getting a first-round draft pick for the second consecutive year. That says that speaks to recruits. Not only the second, but they three guys in the last 2 years gone to the NBA draft. That speaks volumes that even when you're not winning at the level you'd like to be winning, that they could do that. But what's up next for you, sir?
Well, I got the draft tonight. It's a very quiet draft. Obviously, they're picking I think 36 and 39 and 50 or something like that. I have to double check, but it's a very quiet draft, and that's a good thing. Because I think this Pacers team is sitting really pretty. I mean, they got their free agent. They got Pascal Siakam to stay in Indianapolis. And the cool thing is, this used to be a place that nobody wanted to come to. And yet here's Halliburton signing a long-term deal. Here's Siakam signing a long-term deal. McConnell wants to stay here in the worst way. I think he's going to be a lifer here in Indy. I think he's going to be a coach at some point. So, an assistant coach. So, I think they've changed the narrative, here in Indianapolis, because this is a place that nobody wanted to come to. And I think it says a lot about the organization, and it says a lot about the city.
Did you, before I let you go, did you see the ball boy who basically saved Shohei Ohtani's life in the game last night?
No.
I think it was probably a foul ball, one of those slicing foul balls that comes left into the dugout. And the ball boy is just standing up along the rail with Ohtani right to his right, getting ready to bat, I think. And all of a sudden, you just see the ball boy move slightly to his right and cup a ball that was coming in like a rocket.
No kidding.
and Otani just falls back, but and he's like doing it. It's a great little clip, but
Well, we need to get that guy a raise.
and he didn't even move. He just caught the ball and then handed it to somebody.
That's cold. That's good work.
Bob Kravitz from bobkravitz.com. Make sure you're giving him a follow and keeping up with his content because it's worth it. Appreciate you, my friend.
Thank you, my friend. You be well.
Absolutely. Lots more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Travis Miller will join us from Boiler Upload. We'll talk more about the NBA draft. Chris Denari as well. Back with more. Brought to you by Free Think Apparel right after this.
We'll be right back for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
In the market.
Good morning, Travis.
Morning, sirs. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Well. Look who decided to show up to work today.
I was in well, just outside of Milwaukee Monday morning, I guess. My son had a baseball thing up there, and his game ended at like 6:00, and we did we can either get back about midnight, 1:00, or we could just get a hotel and stay up here. So we just stayed up there.
How about no Kyle Filipkowski in round one?
Yeah. See, I thought it was supposed to be lottery originally, but I guess
what did you say?
I thought he was supposed to be a lottery pick originally, but who knows?
Well, I think that maybe he's still in the ambulance from his ride back from when he made that stupid ass flop when he ran into the fan. I sent out one of my favorite tweets of all time. I said Kyle Filipkowski after having a run-in with a fan, and I just put a gif of someone being loaded into an ambulance.
Nice.
And taken away. But he no floppers here, baby.
I mean, I would be more concerned with a 3 of 12 performance for just 11 points in an Elite Eight game, but that's just me.
Good draft for the Big Ten.
Yeah, I'm glad Edie went top 10. That's going to be interesting to see how it works out, and I think he's in a good spot. So
let's see here. Where was I? I was looking at something and I lost it. I don't know. I don't know.
All right, here we go, guys.
Time to build a new home with Property Shore Construction. Now building exclusively south of Bloomington within the Stonecrest Golf Community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Rebesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com. That's mystonecrestliving.com for more details. This segment is brought to you by Hoosier Hanks East. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Jim Coyle on this Thursday. Thanks a lot for being with us. Coming off of day one, round one of the NBA draft. Last night saw at least three Big Ten players selected, starting with Purdue's Zach Edey going a surprising number 9, Kalel Ware at number 15, and Terrence Shannon at number 27. Both Ware and Edey higher than what had been thought. Edey becomes a lottery pick, which matters for the wallet, baby. And Ware just misses being a lottery pick, which that's got to stink, but it is what it is. The next contract's where you make the money anyway. But for Zach Edey, just a great situation, getting to go in the top 10 to a team that obviously wants you. That's the most important thing, is going to a place that wants you, that sees that you can be an integral part of what they're doing. So he has to be extraordinarily happy.
Yeah, I think so too. He's going to a place where I think they're going to utilize his talents pretty well. I'm excited to see Ja Morant just throwing alley-oop to him. That's going to be a lot of fun. And I really think that he's shown a lot here in the past year. I know there's people that are worried about, can he play up tempo? It's not exactly like Purdue played slow. They got out and ran. They're going to wonder if he can shoot the outside shot. And, he did show in the combine that he's got a pretty good outside shot. He's got good form. I mean, could Purdue have had him?
But that's probably unguarded, I would imagine.
Right. But could Purdue have had him try to shoot threes this year? Yes. They didn't need him to. Why do that when you don't?
That I agree with.
Yeah. Why do it just to prove a point? And,
that would actually be the dumbest thing. That would have been the dumbest thing in the world to do. I am 1,000% agree. That would have been stupid. And you don't take someone who is just dominating in this area to get a piece of nothing in another area. But yes, and I don't know how much he's really going to have to shoot the long ball at the next level. But my questions about is from a defensive standpoint. That's where I think that is going to be his hardest acclimation, is defensively.
Yeah, I think so too. But it's something that he's worked on, and he's going to continue to work on. He's a great interior defender. I think one of the things that really stood out this past year is I think he could have been a better shot blocker, but for the sake of saving his fouls and keeping out of foul trouble, he was not nearly as aggressive. So that might be something that he has a little bit more freedom to do here in the NBA, with 6 fouls, with not playing as many minutes, with his team not relying on him so much like Purdue did. So it'll be interesting to see how it translates. I think he's going to have a solid career. I think at minimum he can be, a solid bench player for several seasons in the league. And I think it's going to work out for him. And these NBA guys, they supposedly know a lot more than we do. And they saw something in him. Like you said, they got the player that they wanted, and they feel he's going to be a good fit. So I tend to agree with him.
Well, and they definitely get to see things that we don't get to see. They get to put them in certain situations. And one thing about Zach Edey is he doesn't break down. He doesn't have one of those bodies. He's not a Sam Bowie. You're not going to pick him number 2 in the draft over Michael Jordan and then have him basically never play, or Greg Oden. He's got a body that just now when he's older, he probably won't be able to walk, but right now he's got a body that just doesn't seem to break down. There's no injury situation for him. Defensively though, yeah, he is tough on the interior, but in the NBA, there's a 3-second rule even for defense. So that is going to be a change for him. But getting up and down the floor defensively and having to get out and guard guys on the perimeter taking shots is going to be something new for him as well.
I'm excited to see him play with Desmond Bane. And I say that because I was an advocate for Matt Painter to offer Desmond Bane out of high school. I know he had him on campus at least once, and that's when Bane was the unrated recruit out of Seton Catholic, and the whole thing was, well, he's just dominating at a really small school. And then he goes on, has 4 good years at TCU, and now he's just really doing a great job in the NBA for the Grizzlies. So he's the kind of player I think can also benefit from an Edey. And you got that backcourt of Morant and Bane with Edey in the middle. That's a pretty solid team. I would like to see that, and it's going to be interesting to see them play together.
Now, does he have, when he goes to Memphis, does he have to get his gun permit first? If he's going to hang out with John Morant, I mean,
I'm just going to go.
He's in the posse.
I'm going to go no comment on that one, lest we get letters.
Bring the letters on, man. Are you kidding me? Every day the comments, like on YouTube, people comment there. It's funny. It cracks me up how everyone can see things completely. One person could see it completely opposite of what actually happened or what was actually said or what was actually meant. But that's all right. That's what keeps it. That's what keeps it stirring and keeps it alive. Khalil Ware goes not far behind Zach Edey at number 15, just outside of the lottery. I'm sure he's not thinking of that because he was very emotional last night when he got to go through his deal. He goes to a great organization with the Miami Heat. Pat Riley, great spot for him. If you're drafting somebody in the first round, especially that far up, you have got confidence in them and their game. And so you're a wanted guy. And obviously Miami liked what they saw in Khalil, and he went from averaging like 4 points at Oregon and being called a guy who had no motor and couldn't play and this and that, to come into Indiana and in 1 year made a jump to where he averaged a double-double, was a star, one of the top in the country. So you've got to give Mike Woodson some credit for that. Or I've got to give Mike Woodson some credit for that. I'm sure that there are other underlying things that prompted him, but I guess that's the difference between playing basketball in Oregon and playing in a state like Indiana or in the Big Ten, to where you're playing against guys like Zach Edey. You're playing against guys like Terrence Shannon, and you better get up, grow up, or get out.
Yeah, and you look at what Ware did. He had the 2 head-to-head matchups this season with Edey, and there's no question Edey dominated the first one. Ware, I know he had some foul trouble early in that game, finishes with just 5 points, but then he came back and had a little bit better of a game in West Lafayette. I think he finished. Let me bring up the box score here. Yeah, he finished with 11, but 11 and 8 rebounds, a couple assists, and kind of showed his versatility there. He even hit a 3 in the game in West Lafayette. So, really, that's just a testament, because that's a game where he's playing, like you said, head to head with a Zach Edey. And, he's obviously got the talent. He's a little bit more versatile than Edey, I would say, not afraid to step out and steal or to shoot the 3. And that's just a different type of player. And that's what they're going to ask him to do. I think it's very difficult to play in this NBA, whatever you think of the NBA, without being able to at least be a threat from outside. You're not going to have a Shaquille O'Neal type center that shoots 1 3 out of desperation in his entire career. So both players, I think, will have some success this year. Both of them are in good spots. And like you said, with that Heat culture down there, he'll be in a good spot to develop, and he's not going to have to deliver at least as much straight out the gate as Edey will.
Yeah, and I talked about being just outside of the lottery. Brian points out that, well, to me, that would be a gigantic loss, but over 3 years, he's only going to lose $750,000, which, yes, to you and me, that's a boat ton of money, but he's going to be making $3.5 million a year, so I'm sure he'll get over that. Like I said, it's the second contract that matters anyway.
Yeah, that second contract is where it's at, and that's kind of what Purdue's guys have struggled with, at least of late, in getting to that second contract. And I think that's the next step of quote unquote development for Purdue players going to the league. You had E'Twaun Moore was able to hang on for quite a while. He got he didn't make one of these $250 million contracts, but he stayed in the league long enough, and he made plenty of money. Brian Cardinal got a championship ring and hung around for quite a while, but that's obviously before Painter's time. But then you saw some guys that they just were not able to stick for whatever reason. The late Caleb Swanigan, just a very unfortunate situation there, and where he wasn't able to stick, and passes away, partially because he just kind of fell out of basketball and lost that structure in his life. And then You've got Vince Edwards. I think he played one game. Dakota Mathias had a handful of games with Memphis and with Philadelphia, but they were not able to stick around and get that second contract. And you've got Jaden Ivey, looks like he's well on his way to be able to get that. And now Edey's got a great shot of hanging around and getting that second contract and being able to stay on a roster for a while. And that's what I'm looking forward to for guys from Purdue to make it in the future.
And looking forward to next year for Purdue, they lost Kanan Catchings, which, he seems like he has the mindset that he's a one and done kind of guy, which maybe is, maybe he's not. I don't know. I'm not making that determination, but so even next year, with Purdue not having to take a scholarship away from the unknown player this year, next year they will still only have one open scholarship. And now, after recruiting Trent Sisley just relentlessly, they have offered Braylon Mullins, his Indiana Elite teammate. So in essence, they're recruiting those guys against each other, which I assure you, if they came to Matt Painter and said, hey, we're both thinking about coming there, he'd say, hold on one second. Oh, hey, funny thing, I just had an additional scholarship open up, so you're both welcome to come. But just kidding and joking. But those guys are being recruited against each other now.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see how that part works out. I have no insider knowledge or anything, but if you're looking,
they're way too late on Braylon Mullins, in my opinion. Way too late.
Right. But Painter seems to be recruiting like maybe he can get both of them. I don't know. I do think Sisley has long been the priority there. Mullins is really tearing up right now. If you look at Purdue's scholarship situation, they would have 4 seniors that season. They would have Trey Kaufman-Wren and Brian Waddell would be redshirt seniors, so they would be in their 5th year. And then Fletcher Lloyd and Braden Smith would be seniors. Camden Heidi and Will Berg and Miles Colvin would be juniors, with Heidi and Berg being redshirt juniors.
Will Berg.
And the rest being sophomores, with Jack Benner, Riley Burgess, CJ Cox, Daniel Jacobson, and Jakari Harris. So we know that rosters are fluid in this day and age of college basketball. And if you have a guy that gets to his 4th year and just is not playing a lot, it's not a shock to see them transfer somewhere to where they can get that playing time. And Coach Painter's always been very upfront with his guys of like, okay, this is where you are right now. This is what you're expected, playing time is expected for the next year. And does that mean that it needs to be a big year, quote unquote, for Will Berg this year in his 3rd year in the program?
Will Berg.
Maybe not. I mean, it'll be interesting to see, especially if someone like a Daniel Jacobson, who had a really good showing with the Team USA under-19 team in the AmeriCup, did really well down there and looked really good. So if you have a true freshman come in and beat out a redshirt sophomore for minutes and everything, what is Berg going to think? What is a Brian Waddell going to think? Yes, he's a legacy. His dad played at Purdue for 4 years, was a starter. But he has not really had a huge impact in 3 years on campus. I know one of those years he was injured. So he enters this season kind of like, okay, what is his role going to be as a redshirt junior and everything? So everything's in flux. I don't think that there's any problem with always keeping your options open. Coach Painter clearly wants to build a program where he gets guys there to build for 2, 3, 4 years. And that may be going against the grain a little bit, but it paid off. I mean, look at what they've done in the regular season the last few years. Look at what they did this past year, making a Final Four. And I think there's something to be said for still having that attitude of, yes, I want guys that are all in, that are going to be here for a few years, that are going to gel together and form a great team. And that is probably one of the things that happened with Kanan Catchings, really, is he wanted to, I believe that what they said was he had some questions about his role. And to me, that is a huge red flag if you're having questions about your role right before you come to campus for summer workouts. That's not going to go over very well with the team and with the atmosphere that Coach Painter has constructed over all these years. So I think maybe that parting of ways was mutual, and I think it can be beneficial both ways. He can go and get as many minutes as he wants and, try to make the league as a one and done, whereas Purdue, it's like they lose a very talented player, but it doesn't affect the chemistry of a guy that may or may not be kind of just looking for his own so he can move on to the next step.
And another thing I want to give a shout out to Zach Edey about is he was the only pick in the, I don't know, maybe period. Was he the only pick that wasn't there last night?
He was invited to the green room, I know, but
no,
he did say he wanted to be
that,
with his teammates.
Was anyone else not there?
I'm not sure.
That's my question. But the reason that emphasizes that even more, that instead of a first round pick being there and getting the fancy suit that you're going to wear one time because these things are so outrageous. I saw the one that had like the black stripe down the middle of it. I'm like, really? Well, you're never wearing that suit again. But he chose to do it at Matt Painter's home, not only surrounded by teammates, but even guys like Mason Gillis were there. So that while I think Purdue missed out on an opportunity because this is, people are going to take this as a slight towards Purdue, and it's not meant, but this is not, having guys in the top 10 is not something that they normally get. So it's an opportunity to have Matt Painter there, to be up on the stage and have that shouted out. But this has a different message, which is also very good. But it goes either way. But it's funny to see that, and I think it was kind of pretty cool, really.
I really liked it. It just showed a big connection. You had Lance Jones there. At this time last year, we didn't really know who the heck Lance Jones was. And I have been very upfront in saying that I don't think Purdue makes a Final Four without Lance Jones. I just don't think it happens. He played too big of a role this season and just fit perfectly with what Purdue was trying to do. And it's great to see him there. And, he's accepted in as a family. And I kind of see this as him paying them back, because I know not long after he committed and not long after he agreed to come play and go through workouts last summer, his father passed away. And the entire team went to his father's funeral. And that was for a guy that had been there weeks and that they didn't really know that quite well yet. So I love this atmosphere that they've created. Personally, I don't care what happens in the NBA most of the time. I'm a straight college basketball guy. And I don't mind if something doesn't work in the NBA if it works for my team. And, I wish a ton of success for Edey and a ton of success for our guys. But preparing guys for the NBA is the least of my concerns. I want them to win while they're at Purdue. And that's
you're not supposed to have it. You're not supposed to have a team.
What? Who? Me? In the NBA?
No, in college.
Oh yeah. Well, whatever.
Bro, appreciate you. Enjoy the week, and we'll do it again next week.
Thanks for having me. Does Kyle Filipowski have to sleep in the green room now since he went to the second round?
I'm sure they might have gotten him a Motel 6 or something.
Yeah, give him a cot in the back, maybe. I don't know. But
Travis Miller from Boiler Upload joining us here on this Thursday edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by Boost Fundraising. For those of you knowing of a group needing a fundraiser, Boost Fundraising is the best and most user-friendly in the nation, raising more money faster. Just go to boostfundraising.com and use the radio code 20 to get a discounted fundraiser, whether it's for a sporting group, a charity event, whatever the case may be. Boostfundraising.com has got you covered. We're back with the great Chris Denari right after this.
We'll be right back for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Formerly
Hey, Chris.
Hey, what's up, guys? In my basement.
What's going on in your world?
Nothing.
It sure is lonesome in mine. People think I can't sing.
Nothing in the basement. Getting ready for carpet cleaning day.
Oh man.
It's just 2 bedrooms or my office, our bedroom, and a couch and stuff. But we had to move stuff out of my office and stuff, so just easier to come down here. Another location, which I like. If I didn't have an office upstairs, I'd have an office here in the basement. It would be pretty cool.
Oh, it would the sounds, yeah.
I mean, I'm just on my laptop. I mean, not with a monitor or anything. So, how's it sound? Does it echo a little?
No, it sounds great.
Okay.
When I first moved the show to Bloomington, my favorite place to do the show was in a walk-in closet.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It was like being in a freaking jacked up studio because the sound was so dead in there because of all the clothes.
Yeah.
People don't understand that. Yeah, there's a reason why we have to go to great lengths to for sound quality and all of that. But yeah, it was wild. I think there was somebody I would tell all the time to do that. Maybe Dustin. I was like, go in your closet. He's in the closet.
I'll tell you, that was a interesting, first round last night.
What? Well, I'll save these. But what surprised you the most?
The Edie thing didn't surprise me that he went that high into Memphis, because Memphis, remember they had Steven Adams. Now, Steven Adams, I would say, is a little bit more mobile, but they've always gone with and they had Valanciunas. They've always gone with a big. And, Jaren Jackson likes to play on the outside anyway. So that did not surprise me.
Let's see.
I mean, I'll admit I'm not as in tune with as many of the players this year. There's so many international players.
Well, I was going to say, because half of them are coming from parts unknown.
Yeah.
All right, here we go, guys.
HRVs, CRVs, Honda Ridgelines, payment free for 90 days, or get 0.9% APR financing for 36 months on a 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Go to AndyMoreHonda.com and get more to your door.
This segment is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you on this Thursday, brought to you by our good friends, Dr. J at Reynolds Family Dentistry down in Sellersburg. If you're down in that area, that's the place you need to go. I was just down to see Dr. J and Roger the other day. One of the most uninvasive procedures ever. I was like, that's it, we're done. I'm like, wow, awesome. So very, very cool. Joined now by the great Chris Denari, the television voice of the Indiana Pacers, fresh off of the NBA draft last night, and not a lot for the Pacers yet. We'll talk about that. But what were your surprises? Any surprises for you last night in the draft, Chris?
Well, you and I were talking. I mean, this has been one of those years I probably was not as in tune with all those players that would be drafted, whether they come from the college ranks or internationally. I think overall, most people thought this was one of the weaker drafts that the NBA has seen in a number of years. But, I was intrigued to see Ware going to Miami and Zach Edey going to Memphis. Zach Edey probably went much higher than a lot of people. But when you think about the Memphis Grizzlies and what they've done over the years, they've always had big centers. They had Jonas Valanciunas. They had Steven Adams. And so Zach Edey, while he's bigger at 7'4", maybe not as mobile as those two guys, he really fits, I think, what they're trying to do. And with Jaren Jackson Jr. and Ja Morant and Desmond Bane, that's a very intriguing pick. And they had a tough year. Morant the issues that he had. He got hurt. They did not make the playoffs, but this was a 50-win team a couple of years ago. So I think for both those Indiana college players, it didn't surprise me. They go to very good places. You know, Edey in a place where Memphis, I think, can win, and Khalil Ware going to Miami, maybe the backup to Bam Adebayo now. So all of that, I think, you know, didn't surprise me. But, you know, maybe Edey going as high as he did at number 9. But when I look at the team that took him, it makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely. And they seem very high on him. And it always depends on a fit. It's about the fit, because every organization's not the same. They don't the Pacers, they're a team that gets up and down and scores a ton. Zach Edey would not work on a Pacers roster, not right now. But that's not to say he doesn't work someplace else. And Trace Jackson Davis, same with him. He landed at a place that was a good fit for him. So that's what it's about.
And Jim, maybe the biggest surprise, let's go and I'll get your thoughts on this. Dalton Knecht going to the Lakers. I thought for JJ Redick and for the Lakers, that's exactly what they need. They need more shooting. They need more players that can make shots around LeBron James and Anthony Davis. So that probably was a surprise that he dropped as far as he did.
The first thing I thought when the Lakers took Dalton Knecht is Jalen Hood-Schifino's in trouble. Dalton Knecht he's a bad man. He not only can he shoot NBA range now, he will also get to the rim with authority. And he's just he's a guy that plays with a chip on his shoulder, it seems, all the time. And professional clubs, period, love that. And I was like, wow, they're getting a good pick there. That's a good pick.
I agree with that. I mean, I'm a big Austin Reeves guy. I mean, I really like what he's done out with the Lakers. I think this is an excellent pick for them. It'll be interesting to see how they put that roster together, you know, what LeBron James ultimately does. I think he re-signs or is back with the Lakers. I'm intrigued to see JJ Redick as a head coach. This is a very smart basketball individual. You know, did a lot of great things in the media, but wants to take his shot as a coach. So, I mean, I think that's what's cool about what just happened. We saw the Pacers go to the Final Four of the NBA, going to the Eastern Conference Finals. We ultimately saw Boston, who was the best team in the NBA, winning. But, Jim, you've had 6 different winners the last 6 years in the NBA. We haven't seen that for a long time. And now you transition into the draft. We'll go into free agency, to summer league, and get ready for the next season. It already sort of whets the appetite for what 24-25 hopes to bring in the NBA.
Yeah, and that's I find that very ironic, Chris, that there have been 6 winners, because this is the era of the players trying to drive these super teams, and it just didn't work. It's amazing that, you know, all these guys that tried to form these super teams, whether it was LeBron and the Lakers, whether it was the guys up in Brooklyn, it didn't work because it takes a village, so to speak. You can't determine who you need one on your team. That's what the GMs are for.
Yeah, and I think one of the teams to watch, and I think they, other than that they played the Pacers in the second round, I found that the Villanova Knicks were pretty likable across the country. And now they add a 4th former Villanova Wildcat in Mikal Bridges joining the Knicks. And to your point, it is about chemistry. It's how people fit together. And I think that was the great thing about the Pacers this year. Tyrese Halliburton was on the Pat McAfee show yesterday, and they were talking about that. And Tyrese said, hey, we just have a lot of good dudes on our team. We all get along. We have great chemistry. We cheer for each other. We root for each other. Even the guy that's on the bench that may not be getting the minutes that he feels like he needs or wants, he's rooting for his teammate. And oftentimes that's tough to put together. And so I think, I think we saw the Knicks. Now, Jalen Brunson's a tremendous player, but I think the relationship that he has with DiVincenzo and Hart and now Mikal Bridges, I think will make the Knicks a team to watch over the next number of years.
Yeah, they're after all of the soap opera drama that had been going on there, they seem to be getting it together, which is it seems a little ironic since they're still under that same owner that has really been, it's been a weird kind of a situation. Yeah. That's been like it reminds me of Steinbrenner and the Yankees. It was just always something, but they're getting it together.
Yeah, they had, think about the Pacers-Knicks rivalry in the 90s, and the Knicks had great success in getting to the NBA Finals and getting to multiple Eastern Conference Finals, but they've not had a great deal of success in the 2000s. I think until the last couple of years, their best run in the playoffs was back with Mike Woodson as the head coach, and the Pacers eliminated them in the second round of the 2013 NBA playoffs. So it's been a tough road to hoe, if you will, for a team in the largest market in the country. And so there are a lot of Knicks fans in New York City, of course, all across the country, hoping that they're better. I think they are going to be better. And so everybody in the East is needing to get better, and that includes the Pacers. But I think a lot of what can happen, Jim, with Indiana, and I think this is what you've heard from Chad Buchanan and Kevin Pritchard and company, is they think there's a lot of growth within the personnel that they have. Now, could they come out in the next 48, 72 hours and make some type of deal? Sure, they could. You never know what's on the horizon. But I think they really like the group that they have. And I think we saw that this year, just how locked in and cohesive they were. And I think when you have two players the caliber of Tyrese Halliburton and Pascal Siakam, that goes a long way in helping take your team where you want to go.
The Pacers obviously not a part of the big picks thus far. What are you expecting for them? I know that there's only so much that you can or would say if you knew because of obvious limitations, but just off the, outside of the official capacity, obviously, what are your thoughts on tonight's draft?
Well, I don't think they have 3 picks, 36, 49, and 50. And they honestly, they can't really fit in 3 players from a roster standpoint. They just don't have that many roster spots. So, maybe 2 of those picks become trade capital.
Trade bait.
Trade capital, pushing forward, pushing back, however you want to do that. I do think that they have proven over the last number of years deep in the draft, a couple of years ago with Andrew Nembhard at 31 and Ben Shepherd last year at 26, that you can get quality rotational players in the 20s and the early 30s. So I think that second round pick at 36 is a good possibility that you can get somebody that can help you. And again, as you move forward with a lot of these talented players who you're going to have to pay more money, you're going to need some of those players on lesser deals or rookie deals. So it'll be interesting to see. I think, as Kevin Pritchard always says, they like to have a lot of optionality, and I think they do have that with those 3 picks in the second round.
Well, and we'll look forward to seeing how that plays out tonight. The Pacers still need to add something. What is it that they need to add to take the step up that they need to take?
Well, they probably still want to get better defensively. I thought they made improvement as the year went on. They realized early in the season that while they had an historic offense, they needed to be better defensively. And I said all along, Jim, they didn't need to be great defensively. They didn't even need to be good. They just needed to be, I don't even want to use the word mediocre, but they were in the 28, 29, 30. They just needed to get around 20, 21, 22. Because when you're going to play at a fast pace and you're going to score a lot of points, honestly, you're going to give up some points, right? It's just the nature of the game. You're not going, if you look at team scoring margins at the end of the year, your great teams are going to be maybe +7, +8, +8.5. So if you're the Pacers and you're averaging 122, 123 points per game, and maybe you're a +4 or +5, you're going to give up 118, 119 points per game. That's just, it comes with the territory when you have a very good offense. So I think the thing that we saw late in the year, they got much better defensively. They've got to do a better job. Each player can get better. They wanted to focus on take care of your own business, guard your yard, if you will, because if you take care of your own assignment, that bleeds to the rest of the team. So, maybe another wing, but I think the one thing that they're going to get is they're going to get Benedict Mathurin back when the season starts. And if we remember, he got injured in March, did not play at the end of the regular season, was not available at all for the playoffs. I mean, this is a guy that averaged about 16 points per game, and I think continued to get better in year 2. So I look at him coming back as almost your draft pick, adding him into next year's roster with the group that took you to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Last night, of course, Khalil Ware gets picked by the Miami Heat. Mike Woodson was there with him, but he went a little higher than a lot of us expected as well, going number 15, just outside the lottery, but was very emotional about the pick. I think he ends up in a great place. And he is a prototypical guy that first round draft pick. He's got a lot of tools in his box.
Yeah, I think so. And they have great skill development, player development in Miami. Eric Spoelstra is considered one of the best coaches in the NBA. So there's no question that they'll go right to work with him as he reports. Summer League, of course, in Las Vegas in a couple of weeks is so very, very important for everybody. So I thought that was a good landing spot. As I said, I think for both Zach Edey and Khalil Ware, they landed in very, very good spots, not places that are totally on the ground floor and rebuilding. This is a Memphis team that was won 50 games 2 years ago, and a Miami team that's always been strong. So I think for both of those players, and especially Ware, they have to be very happy with where they're going.
Absolutely. And the Pacers are on the clock for tonight. But like I said, we expect a couple of trades to come out of that. Not necessarily for a player, but draft picks. Is there a possibility of trading for a player? I know because there's not really too much room at the end.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. I mean, if you think about it, a year ago, they traded 2 second-round draft picks and got Obi Toppin. So anything's possible. I just think, again, if you look at where their roster is, it's going to be really hard to take all 3 of those players in the second round and make them fit. So that's why a lot of people think that they won't use all those picks. They could package them for future draft picks. They could package them for cash, those types of things. So all things are possible. It's 4 minutes between every pick in the second round. Last night in the first round, it was 5 minutes. This is the first year that we've seen the NBA go to a 2-day draft where it was round 1 on Wednesday, round 2 on Thursday. And I think I like that. I mean, it was always tough after that first round to have that second round start after 11 o'clock and go to near 1 o'clock. So I think this is a lot better for all teams. They're able to rethink what their draft strategy was after a first round last night and really focus on what they want to accomplish today.
OG, boy, he's that's a fat contract, bro.
They've got a lot of money.
Forget that first contract. You want those next contracts.
Yeah, the Knicks they've invested a lot of money in their top line players, and again, that's why they should be one of the favorites next year. When you add somebody like OG Anunoby, you have Mikal Bridges. They look at Boston, and I think that's the thing that everybody looks at. You have to look at who your competition is in trying to get to the NBA Finals representing the Eastern Conference. And when you look at Boston, they're as diversified and versatile a team as you'll find in the NBA. Brad Stevens has done a great job building around Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And so I think what teams are doing is you've got to be able to match up with them, especially defensively. And I think that's what New York is trying to do with Anunoby and Mikal Bridges. That's what the Pacers are going to try to do. So, yeah, a lot of money invested at the top by the Knicks. It'll be interesting to see how they have to fill out their roster because there won't be a lot of money there to spread around for, players 9 through 15.
Chris Denari from the Pacers, appreciate you taking the time to sit with us each week and talk about the draft today. Hope the rest of the week is good for you, man.
All right, sounds good. Talk to you next week.
Appreciate you. Chris Denari joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Thursday. Lots more coming up. Brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. And speaking of Bubba's, you can help them build their 400th home. To celebrate 20 years of partnership with Homes for Our Troops, Bubba's is raising funds to build the 400th home for Lieutenant Corporal Alberto Flores Jr. in New Braunfels, Texas. Every dollar donated will support the home build, and Bubba's 33 will match donations up to $150,000. So that's pretty cool. You can build your own burger. I think that's part of the thing. So, but make sure you stop in Bubba's 33 in Clarksville down there, right off of I-65 on Veterans Parkway. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
In the market.
All right, we'll have about 11 or 12 minutes when we come back.
Oh, damn it. Damn it. What a rocket fire show this was. Well, they're going to have a new rallying cry at the NBA draft. The French are coming! The French are coming! You could. Oh, mama.
All right, here we go.
And it is your one-stop shop for high-quality meats, bakery items, and now fresh seafood. Chop Shop Market and Table has the largest selection of in-house made products around and everything you need to make a gourmet meal at home. Or pick out a tomahawk steak or a grouper filet and enjoy it cooked to perfection in Chop Shop Steakhouse. Chop Shop Market and Table, a part of the Wild Food Group, is your butcher, baker, and fish house, no matter where you live.
This segment is brought to you by the Fresh Fork in Bloomington. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Thursday. Thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate it. As always, it's been a fun and fulfilling day. Boy, I talked about the storm that hit Bloomington yesterday, and I don't think that even I realized how far-reaching that it was. As far as the town, it's odd. It was probably the most damage that I have ever seen from a storm that was not tornado related or the remnants of a hurricane. The damage has been mind-boggling. The size of the trees that I saw that were down. There are people that still don't have power. I realized later yesterday how fortunate we were to be able to actually have a show, and I guess we're going to have to invest in a generator for the studio here, for just in case for those days, John Boy. So that's something I'm going to have to get to, which
better
wouldn't
to be
bad.
safe than sorry, right?
You betcha, boy. You betcha. If you notice, for those of you that are watching, I added a little something to the AC/DC guitar back there. That was something the girl I was dating at the time, that was a long time ago, like I said. That was like in 2011, but bought those Angus Young, the horns that he would wear. And ironically, it's been like 14 years ago. I'm pretty sure that if I hit the battery or the switch on this thing, let's see. I'm going to put them on my head first. For those of you that can't see, you're not missing out much. But yeah, you are, because look at there. I put on my Angus Young horns that are 14 years old, and the battery still works as they are flashing. How wild is that, John Boy? No comment.
It's wild and
Crickets.
wacky, right?
Crickets. I get crickets, man. So did you watch
Wish we had a cricket sound effect. That'd been good. I did not watch the draft last night. I kept up with some of the picks, but I didn't watch the coverage of it.
Well, I guess you can always read about it.
That's true.
But there's that. Hey, and once again, for those of you, do me a favor, and it would be appreciated sincerely. Go to thehoosier.com and get yourself a subscription. It's 27 cents a day. It's a premium. So you get premium content, but you get into the premium boards. And that is how we're able to bring the content we do. Without that stuff, we're not able to do that. We're not able to travel to these events, to get these interviews, to do the things that we do. It takes equipment. It takes everything. And I think people forget that, because there's a lot of stuff out there that it gets confused with things. But I would personally appreciate it if you would go to thehoosier.com and sign up for a subscription. Like I said, it's $10 a month, man. And I know not everybody can afford $10 a month, but it's 27 cents a day, like I said. And you like having conversations with like-minded folks, you can do so in the premium boards as well. So thank you there for that. And let's see, I want to make sure what else is coming. I think that today, Indiana Swimming and Diving is having a media availability as they get set to compete in the 2024 Paris Olympics this summer. That starts at some point today, and we'll try to bring that information to you tomorrow. Ray Luce, the coach of 9 2024 Olympic athletes, 9. He was an assistant on the 2016 and 2020 Team USA teams. And Indiana Swimming's associate head coach, Corey Chitwood, related to Joey, is also the U.S. Open water swimming assistant coach. Lily King, Josh Matheny, Anna Poplawski, Blake Peroni, Mariah Denningham, Andrew Copobianco, Carson Tyler, Tomer Frankel, Rafael Miroslav, and Kai Van Westering. That's a lot of athletes to be sending to the Olympics, people. The Olympics in one sport, no less. Men's and women's, but mostly on the men's side, it looks like. You've got, appears 2 females, and Lily King still rolling in the 100-meter breaststroke and the 200-meter breaststroke. It's amazing that she is still that good. How many years are we talking now? 8? Is this her 3rd Olympics? So that's a span of time. It's almost a decade of training. The training alone is crazy, but congratulations to them. And so hopefully we'll get all the information from that we can for you and have that on tomorrow. Also tomorrow, what is our normal Friday schedule, John Boy?
We should have Zach Osterman back with us tomorrow. And really, I believe everything else is up in the air, depending on who we want to bring onto the show for a Friday edition.
Probably
of
get
Indiana Sports Beat.
Michael Mangarelli for one.
That's right. Yeah, Michael Mangarelli. I keep forgetting he's kind of a regular now on
There
Fridays.
is nonstop stuff going on with the NCAA. It's kind of always pushed to the background right now because it's in this churning method and there's other things that are happening, but there has to be something done. And by be done, I mean with the transfers. There's no, you're not putting the toothpaste back in the tube for the rest of the stuff. But, and I'm fine with that, as long as they can control, there has to be some control. Because right now there is zero control. Zero. An athlete can just, and what are you teaching these kids? But things are not going their way. Let's say they're a football player. Oh, well, I'm not getting snaps. Boy, as soon as the portal opens up in his, December, whatever, I'm in it. Boom, they're gone. Next year they do it again. It's crap. There's no other league, no other anything that operates that way. Not especially with the money that is being paid. I don't understand why, and this is something I'll talk to Michael about, why there cannot be contracts. Now, it would not behoove the student athlete, but what does behoove them is receiving hundreds of thousands of dollars and a guarantee of that. So you have to, it has to be a give and take. Hey, all right, we're going to guarantee you this for 2 years. You decided you want it or not. Okay. What if you suck? What if you don't perform that first year? You're not going to have the leverage that next year. And I also think it has to be there because this is not the product the fans want to see. And I don't care whose team you're for. Indiana, Purdue, USC, UCLA, Texas. Nobody wants to see a completely new team every year. And it doesn't matter what sport. You want some consistency. People want to have guys or players that they have cheered for, and then 10 years from now, oh man, you remember when so-and-so was there those couple of years? Boy, that was a great couple of years. That has just been totally taken away. And it cracks me up that all of these politicians were so fast to jump on the, oh, we got to get these guys paid train. And, oh, well, this is the one thing that they had left was the transfer rule, in which, okay, we'll give you a one-time transfer. Cool. But if you do it again, you got to sit out. That's the way it should have stayed. But a court ruled otherwise. And so it's nuts. But we'll talk about that much more tomorrow with Michael. Also, round 2 of the NBA draft tonight. The Pacers on the clock. We'll see what they do. OG signing the big fatty, $212 million. Chase Briscoe to drive the number 19 Pro Bass Shops car next year for Joe Gibbs Racing in NASCAR. As a matter of fact, not too far out is the Brickyard. So Chase Briscoe will be up there. Hopefully we can talk to him at that point. He's been on the show with us before. But we're heading towards tomorrow. Don't forget, brought to you by the Ugly Grouper down on Anna Maria Island. If you're already in the area or will be, make sure you stop in for some locally sourced seafood and a fun night. Great day today. Big thanks to Shannon Griffith, Bob Kravitz, Travis Miller, Chris Denari, and most importantly, each and every one of you guys. John, the producer. I'm Jim Coyle. Until tomorrow, I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.